Join up, everybody. Join up, join up. Join up, everybody. Join up, join up, join up. About to be watching a video today. Join up, join up, join up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Cash Money Records with dreams come true. Cash Money Records with dreams come true. Fuck up my dreams, somebody gonna die. You already, man, that pin. Hey, it's Cash Money Records, man. It's Cash Money Records, man, the lawless gang. Join up, everybody. We're about to watch this video. Join up, join up, join up. About to start the video in about 2 minutes. NBA player gets fired for not celebrating gayness. Let's see what's popping, man. Cover some news this week. Sometimes I do news, sometimes I don't. Cover a lot of debates, a lot of philosophical lectures, different things like that. So we gonna see. Join up, join up. Unfucking believable. Lone president. Even if they celebrate, I know the game is crazy. It's crazier than it's ever been. Ugh. Join up, join up, join up.
They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness.
Is that egregious or hateful enough that warrants him being released? Anywhere the left achieves institutional power, free speech dies. A lot of people who think like, hey, the woke left, the progressive left, it's conquered, and so everything's the same now, and let's burn it all down. It's not dead. It's really just kind of in a zombified state. It's like the movie Flatliners. It's going to come back, and it'll come back with a vengeance if you don't stay on top of it. So right now, we see more proof positive of this, and you kind of have to look to these sort of microcosms. If you want to speak up, for example, in the NBA, where it seemingly would make sense, you're just going to get banned.
If you want to speak up, you getting banned now. You got a worldview other than woke, and you getting banned.
I guess I just don't understand. There's certain people that have more leverage than others. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't know this guy. What is his name? Hey, somebody in the chat put down this guy's name. Oh, it looks like Jaden Ivey. I don't know who this is. I stopped watching basketball. But to me, what seems unfair or unjust is that there's other players that would have more leverage than this guy. So I think people like LeBron James, I see him speaking up about, issues within the black community. I see him talking politically. I even seen him post a pretty outrageous video about Donald Trump right when he got elected. And you know what I'm saying? It was pretty outrageous. And that's one criticism I have with LeBron. I love LeBron, but I have huge criticisms on his political views. But the point is this, is that it seems that somebody like LeBron James would be able to speak on his belief system, and this guy seems like he didn't get an opportunity to. And I think because one reason is maybe because he's not as good, But LeBron James makes different claims than this other guy. So we got to take that into consideration too.
We demand you do all dance. Gay pride, oh, you getting banned. All right.
Another childhood classic ruined. All right. So the Chicago Bulls, this happened yesterday. They released their combo guard, Jaden Ivey. For it. Now, here's what's important. I know people out there, you're going to start changing the dialogue and say, well, he wasn't that good or he had other issues. Yeah, but this is why they released him.
That's true.
According to their own words. This is the reason listed, so we need to address that. They said that it was, quote, conduct detrimental to the team. Detrimental to the team. I don't know what you're thinking. Like, he beat the hell out of his girlfriend in an elevator, or like tried to stab his baby mama with a butter dish, whatever it is.
He won't pass to his teammates.
Right. So,
he's constantly fouling people.
No, it was an opinion that he expressed, and here is the vile rant/opinion in question.
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ.
Canceled.
Right? They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that this man is crazy?
Now, you may disagree with his opinion. Fine, but let me ask you, is that egregious or hateful enough that warrants him being released?
Right. I said not.
Exactly. And that's how you know it's coming from the top down. It's not coming from the fans. It's not coming from the viewers. Really, well, this guy has to go. So according to some inside sources, comes from ESPN, they said this is a long time coming because Ivey was outspoken about his religious beliefs in Detroit, but his intensity ratcheted up during his tenure in Chicago, which agitated some team staff members who described him as preachy around the locker room. His social media rants often lasted nearly an hour and ventured into a variety of topics, including depression, about how he also used to be wicked and how he's been redeemed and a Christian. And of course, he discussed abortion. And in this case, though, the straw that broke the camel's back is he's against Pride Month, which this is how you know the left will never stop pushing. If you were to just in the 90s, the 80s, go speak with the MVPs, the All-Stars of the NBA, and say, yeah, people are going to be fired for not celebrating a homosexual month.
Yeah.
I go, what?
But how was his jump shot?
Yeah. You also, I guarantee you didn't want to hear their opinions on LGBTQAIP. Very much like you don't want to hear the opinions of almost any black man in America, but we just ignore that kind of like the left ignores Islam itself, because when opinions are inconvenient in a marginalized class, you just sort of skim over it. So the coach for the Bulls, Billy Donovan, again, this is the reason they said that he was let go. He tried to kind of sidestep it, but here you go. Here's him addressing it.
Everybody in that building, it's always been, I think, that what's been from the top, like, we're all going to work well together. You know, we're all going to basically take care of each other. We're going to accept each other. And I think we're going to be hardworking, we're going to be accountable, and we're going to be respectful, and we're going to be professional. I know some of the things that we put out there. You know, I think it's a situation for him where, you know, it's on his own personal Instagram. I don't want to get into what he put out there, but certainly I hope for him, you know, he's okay. I don't know, you know, like I've had conversations with Jaden and stuff, and he's been always about rehabbing his knee and trying to get back and forth and wanting to play. But I think organizationally, there's certain standards I think we want to have as an organization and try to live up to those each and every day.
Ooh, live up to it.
Yes.
What a non-answer.
Certain standards. Yeah. Standards that didn't result in someone's release. Jackson Hayes, 2021, arrested, pleaded no contest for domestic violence. Short suspension, no punishment from the NBA. 2022, Kyrie Irving, suspended 8 games for anti-Semitic film that he promoted, Hebrews to Negroes, which sounds bad coming out of my mouth. 2022, Miles Bridges served only 10 of a 30-game suspension, again, for domestic violence. I think you're noticing a trend. 2023, John Morant, who was suspended after flashing his guns like a couple of times on Instagram Live.
Multiple times.
I ain't gonna lie, he was hot. He was flashing. He was flashing those chops. He was flashing those chops. Yo. See, this is the biggest thing. It's such a social construction, and sometimes illogical position. Sometimes, and that's why I said that sometimes it's a place of hierarchy, right? Like niggas like Ja, niggas like Kyrie, they're gonna be more likely to get away with certain things. This guy, nobody cares about this guy, quite frankly, and he was already a risk to the team. So I think that's another reason why they let him go, right? And that's why I brought up the whole LeBron James thing. Even if LeBron James said the same thing, they probably would have punished him maybe. But let LeBron James go, that's a huge risk. Because then if they let LeBron James go, then another team is just going to pick him up. That's why Ja Morant was flashing chops 2 times on his Instagram. You know, and he got punished for a little bit, but I mean, they ain't let him go. I'm pretty sure he's still on the Grizzlies. You know, somebody fact check me. I don't watch basketball, but it's kind of a little bit unfair, and I'm biased. But to their point, to be honest, it's like there is a hierarchy. When you sign that contract, you're under a business. So they have more say over free speech than you. It should be free speech for everybody. But when you're risking a business, you're risking a business and their assets. They're gonna be more likely to, cut you or do these other things, and you must take caution with that. It's not your business. You don't own the business itself. So you got to accept, like, oh, shoot, hold on, bro. I can't just sit there and say anything I really want. Right? It's limits to free speech. A lot of people believe that. Like, you can't run around and say, death to America, death to America. Or say, I'm going to grape you, I'm going to grape you. Nah, you can't run around and say those type of things because you could be a risk to the business itself. So that's where I think some of these people don't understand, where it's like, where's the threshold? You know what I'm saying? Where's the threshold?
Multiple times.
He
Got in
loved his
trouble, did it
guns.
again.
Yeah. And here's how you also, I'm going to run some other clips here. You just saw the coach, and Emmanuel Acho also came out and commented on this. This is not coming from the viewers.
No.
I get it. Look, I think it's silly, but I get that at the DNC, they have to cater to the lowest common denominator, right? Because Doge Walker might stroll through the doors. So they have to act as though they care. But this is not coming from the NBA viewers, just like it wasn't coming from the NFL viewers when you had the kneel during the national anthem.
Yeah.
The viewership of the NBA, it's 60% male. Males in this country support Republicans by a very, very, very wide margin, to be clear. 26% of the viewers are black. That's more than the general population. 2/3 of black Americans believe that homosexuality is always wrong. And what's funny is, I know that's an older stat because I couldn't find a newer one, but it remained pretty much unchanged over the course of 2-3 decades. You can check out that reference. So this idea that what he's saying is such an affront to the viewers,
Right.
the people who buy tickets, the people who tune in, no. This is how you know it's social engineering. For more proof, you can even look at the NHL, by the way, for Pride Month, for the named Nashville Predators. It's like no one had a meeting at one point and said, this probably isn't going to go well. A, because our name is Predators. B, because it's Tennessee.
Yes, we're the gay predators.
Yes.
And we're very proud of it.
Did you see their logo? They just took the Predator and they just put a pair of pedophile glasses on it.
Oh, that's
That's all it was, yeah. And a weird mustache. You know, most multivitamins are crap. Too much motivation.
Steven Crowder,
It's a
but why
knockout.
are you trying
Freedom
to
from
sell me this
consequence. The difference between people say, oh, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. But if you are an athlete or you are an entertainer, and people are choosing to buy a ticket, or people are choosing to watch you, they should be the ones determining, barring actual criminal behavior, if your words or your opinions are impermissible. That is not what is happening. Anywhere the left achieves institutional power, free speech dies. It's not a bug, it's a feature. You look at academia, you look at the entertainment industry, you look at media. The problem is those same entertainment industry and media types are the ones often pushing the pencils with these athletic organizations. They are not representative of the people who are tuning in on a Sunday. So I say that to keep in mind as you watch all these other commentators. You just saw the coach and go, oh, these people, there's actually a huge disconnect with them and the people who want to watch basketball. Bring in Acho taking issue with the comments and gross, I don't want to say misinterpretations. He just says a bunch of stuff that's not, it's irrelevant or not in there.
Now let me talk about the biblical aspect of it. Because Jaden Ivey also has to understand that not everything that's legal is going to be biblical. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's.
What?
Also have to understand you have to be wise, discerning, and tactful as to how you speak and when you speak and who you speak to.
What's the Bible say about
if you
sodomy?
Quote Paul in Corinthians, Paul wrote what he wrote to the church in Corinth. He didn't necessarily write what he wrote to the church in Ephesus or the church in Galatia. In the same manner, Jaden Ivey, you got to use discernment of when you speak and who you're speaking to. If your job and your goal is to emulate Jesus, also understand when Jesus saw the woman who had committed adultery, he said, go and sin no more. He didn't then try to extrapolate every single sin and every single man she has slept with adulterously.
Yeah, it's covered under the umbrella. Just don't do any of that.
One,
Actually, he did, though.
understand
Right,
there's
that's
a
true.
difference between legal and biblical. Two, Jaden Ivey, make sure you tend to your mental and emotional health if indeed there is anything going on, because you have been very vulnerable about your struggles previously. And then three, render to Caesar what is Caesar's and render to God what's God's. That's biblical if you want to talk biblically.
So I want to go to Joe, but they pivot to mental health. I'm like, well, look, this person may be mentally ill. Won't do that for a tranny, by the way, who shows up with a titty job. But a guy who says this is unrighteous, and where could he get that from? I don't know. Watch any gay pride parade anywhere. Watch any Pride Month. Watch when they bring out drag queens to perform the national anthem. Like, where could he possibly get that this is a little bit degenerate?
Yeah, and they have they won't say anything to a trans person for doing the same exact thing, and they had similar backgrounds.
Right.
To a lot of, self-proclaimed, I don't know if you know, but he admitted that he had mentioned that he'd been sexually abused as a child.
Yeah.
Not by a woman. And he had gone through some other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a
So he gets released, and the ones who celebrate degeneracy, they get a parade. Yeah.
It's not about it. So listen, really quickly, just to sum this up, Emmanuel, you made a really good point before in that clip, and we cut it for time because we don't have enough time to do it. But you said your talent makes room for you. You should have shut up after that, because the rest of what you said is absolute garbage. Because the husband thing with the woman at the well, he goes, "Where's your husband?" "I don't have a husband right now." Jesus said, "You're right. You had 5 husbands, and the guy you're sleeping with right now isn't your husband." So it looks like he brought up all of her indiscretions in the past to say, don't do this anymore. He called her out on all of her sins. So you're factually incorrect there. And to say that the letter to the Corinthians written by Paul does not apply to the other churches means that Timothy needs to have a word with you, because he said all scripture is God-breathed and useful for reproof and correction, and goes on and on and on. That is completely anti-biblical to say, oh, well, that was just for the Corinthians, man. That doesn't apply to any of the other churches, much less us today. You cannot believe in the Bible being applicable to anybody under those circumstances. You can just make up your own rules then, I guess. Jesus didn't say it to me. He said it to Paul. Or, sorry, in a dream. He said it to Mark, Matthew, anybody else. It's not to me. That's the worst. He's a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of pastor father he had.
Well, the real lesson
teaching
there is that
crap.
when people get offended, Jesus asked about the lady's body count.
He did.
He really did.
Like, hey, how many do
He's
you
like,
have?
That's right.
Yeah.
You not only don't have one, it's a 5.
It's 5.
Which in Jesus' time, my time, is quite a few.
He called her out
Yeah. Yeah.
on this. So anyway, I'm sorry. That's just on the, if y'all want to talk about biblical stuff, we can get into biblical stuff. That's what he said.
His religion is leftism. His religion is liberalism. And here's the
He
thing.
wants to keep a job.
Yeah. Well, here's what it is, too.
Well, he
It
lost
really
his last job for banging a coworker. So.
Ah, okay. Well,
true.
but at least there was the acceptance. It really comes down to this: when you go, oh, wait a second, why celebrate the trans thing? Wait a second. Why jail people, for example, in Canada for speaking out against Islam? It really comes down to the only thing that is tolerable from the left, their religion, their idol, is acceptance. That's all it is. It's acceptance versus sound judgment. It's acceptance versus correction. As long
Now, listen, guys. I'm actually going to cut this video short because I think that we got the main gist of what happened within, what's this guy's name? Jaden Ivey. Now, if we are going to break this down philosophically, we got to understand that from my personal view, I am big on free speech. I'm big on free speech. But I will say that there are limits within free speech as well, right? Absolute free speech can be chaotic, right? Like I gave examples before, right? If somebody's sitting there chanting death to America, or running around saying grape, 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 it's like, what's the context in which you guys are talking about? It seems like this guy, just said his opinion, right? He just felt like it was, the Pride Month is very unrighteous and things like that. Me personally, if I was the owner of the team, I would have never, said, oh yeah, nah, we about to cut him for this, right? But let me break this down. If this was LeBron James, Ja Morant, it's sad that if it was these guys, they probably would have just, either suspended them for a few days and then let them back, or, never did anything at all. And that is the true sad part about it, is that there's a hierarchy, right? People like LeBron, people like, Kyrie, they're gonna get less. They're gonna be less likely to get in trouble, man, because they are the face of the NBA. The NBA will lose millions of dollars if these guys get kicked out of the NBA. Or if they get dropped from a team, another team's just going to pick them up. So it's very strategic on how they're moving. This is chess. So that's why they're moving in the way they are moving. So I feel bad for this dude. And I'm not making a moral argument right now. We can get into the morals of it, but I'm really just giving a lot of descriptors on what I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro is really, out of a job because of, his belief systems. But he has to ask himself this philosophical question. Are you willing to risk your job for speaking your mind? And that's where this guy has to start thinking about what is, at the most high for him. Is the most high about playing basketball? Or is the most high speaking for Christ? And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm going to make that decision for him. But now he put himself in a position, which I don't know if he knew, that cost him his job. When it's possible he could have just kept his mouth shut for maybe like 10 years or something like that, got that quick NBA money, and then started going to a church and then, maybe preaching, or just start his own YouTube channel and start giving his morals and stuff. Thomas Sowell said, in life there's no such thing as solutions, only trade-offs. You can't solve everything. You can't be running around acting like Jesus and then being a pure capitalist, bro. Jesus Christ literally got angry, started flipping over tables because people were turning the village into a free market. You gotta understand that, in life it's just a trade-off, bro. Can't be stacking up be a billionaire and then act like, you're like Jesus. You can maybe get to become a billionaire and then start to act like Jesus, maybe, but I mean, it's a dirty game. It's a dirty game at the top. And that's what most people don't understand. So I hope everything goes well for Jalen. I hope everything goes well for my bro. We have another video. I wanted to watch this. Another Steven Crowder video. Exclusive debate. Crowder challenges Ivy League professor to change my mind debate. Now, I don't know what this debate is about. I really don't know. Maybe we can see in the comments. Trump speaks like a normal New Yorker. He doesn't put on a show, change his accent, clean himself up. Professors will just use arguments from authority all the time. So I think they're arguing about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, I want to say this. So in terms of Donald Trump, I've never voted before in my life. But I was going to vote for Donald Trump in 2024. But I did not make up my mind quick enough because I didn't know who I wanted to vote for. I am more right-leaning, I guess. I'm a classical liberal, which tends to be more, right-leaning on average. So, of course, I would probably see a more Donald Trump's views more than Kamala's views, right? Kamala, she is left-leaning, you know what I'm saying? So, just naturally, we're going to bump heads on a few issues. But to be fair and to be honest, I was going to vote for Ramaswamy. But obviously, we only have two candidates. Donald Trump, obviously, had way more in the polls and stuff like that. And he was able to get to the top of the hierarchy. And I couldn't vote for who I wanted to vote for. So that I'm just giving y'all a quick overview of what I believe in and stuff like that. So when I'm over here criticizing Trump, don't be like, whoa, hold on, you're a MAGA guy. Or if I criticize Kamala, don't be like, whoa, hold on, you're extreme right-winger. It's like, dude, these the only options I got, bro. Yeah, y'all niggas expect niggas to do, son. You got two candidates going toe-to-toe. It's like, I don't really like politics. I'm more of an academia type nigga. Like, I like niggas like Thomas Sowell. I like niggas like Jordan Peterson, Richard Dawkins, or, who else I fuck with? Let me think. Man, I got a brain for it. Who else I fuck with heavy? Steven Pinker. Like, I like niggas in academia more than fucking politics, bro. Like, politics, you gotta play this bullshit game of like, oh yeah, like, 1 minute I got this view, and then the next minute I got this view. Cause you don't know who's a populist, like who's just doing it for the popular vote and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And who's actually like, well, I'm sticking to these fucking guns, like no matter what. Like, it's kind of rough, But enough of me rambling. I'm about to get into this last video. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the restroom, and then come back, and then we gonna run it up. Bag the riches to gone, take seconds to minutes to hours and days to weeks. Oh, let's get it, guys. 2 Steven Crowder videos in a row.
My distaste, my loathing for Trump has actually nothing to do with his policy positions. It has to do with the way he flouts the norms of civic dialogue that you were referring to earlier.
I think a lot of people hold that position. I think that the norms that we've seen on campus, I mean, you see this from a professor, I think they're at least equally corrosive. I will be speaking, actually, a debate. So, Change My Mind started 2016. Maybe the first one broadcast was 2017. I think we did a test run or two. When we started it, I always wanted to sit down with professors. Hoped for it, reached out, never took place. To the point where we just sort of gave up hope. I guess we'll just have to do this on random streets in downtowns or with students. Sometimes we would do it with, professionals that ended up morphing into black and white and the gray issues. But April 10th at UPenn, I will be, hosting. Actually, I'm not hosting. We have a separate moderator.
There you go. Yeah.
They pick the school, they pick the moderator, they pick the terms, and we will actually have a debate, a discussion. So easy a student can do it. April 10th, UPenn, 7 p.m. Eastern. Change My Mind. It's the next chapter. Hey, YouTube, what you're about to watch is a new segment we call Change My Mind.
Open campus, a college campus.
Sure, it's an open campus.
Actually do whatever we want.
You can do whatever you want. You can protest. Any professor, you pick.
Any professor.
Yeah. Or set up a dialogue how you think it would be best or most fair. Forgive me, or your sources. What do you usually read?
CNN.
CNN.
Twitter.
CNN, Twitter, and a lot of professors probably here.
Probably.
I think you're somewhat parroting from what you've learned from your professors. So I don't think.
I'd agree with you that
data from CNN and Twitter and professors is wrong.
Liberal professors and students, you've seen it, they start yelling. Yep.
What statistics are you reading?
The statistics of, according to the FBI.
10% of women and 12% of men are raped on college campuses.
Incorrect. We don't have any professors willing to debate. If you know professors here to be willing to, we would be more than happy. I'd be more than happy.
Honestly, no, I don't.
You've been failed as students. You've been failed. It's time to go straight to the top to the people who failed you. When we started Change My Mind, the idea was back in 2016. The more I went on campus,
Yo, what the fuck? Go to this fucking video.
Well, we should raise Jonathan. Free speech and why you should give a damn, Jonathan Zimmerman. Why should we give a damn?
Well, we should give a damn because free speech has been at the heart of every movement for change in this country. Racial and gender and sexual and contemporary perspectives. Sex education, I discovered it was precisely the opposite.
These niggas is like right leaning, like, what the fuck?
That's right. Starting noon today, louderscrowd.com/tickets. We'll be taking some questions from the audience. So just to give you some backstory here, 10 schools we reached out to. I believe eight Ivy League.
Yo.
This is 7 p.m.
Like, bro, it took this nigga like 20 minutes to start the video, bro.
The Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts, UPenn, louderwithcrowder.com/tickets. Starting this afternoon, please welcome Professor Jonathan Zimmerman. Oh, sorry, Professor, there was a stinger playing a silly horse shit before you came on. Welcome, sir. Can you see us and hear us?
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. I'll keep it because I know we'll be there for an hour and a half, so I won't keep this going on for too long. But I just want people to know you are a professor of history of education, UPenn graduate, School of Education. You've written quite a few books, including Who's America? Culture Wars in the Public Schools, Too Hot to Handle, A Global History of Sex Education, The Case for Contention, Teaching Controversial Issues in American Schools, Campus Politics, What Everyone Needs to Know, Free Speech, and Why You Should Give a Damn. I mean, so many books. Let me ask you, why do you think you're the only one who said yes?
Well, look, I can't speak for any of my colleagues who said no. All I can tell you is why I said yes, right? And the reason I said yes is because I believe in dialogue across difference. Steve, I'm a liberal Democrat.
I know.
And I know that you are not.
That's true.
And that's precisely why we should talk to each other, because that's how I think people learn.
Right.
I generally don't learn from people I agree with. I learn from people I disagree with.
Yeah.
And I think that especially right now with
bro, why is that so true, bro? I got this one nigga, his name's Danimal, bro, on my Discord. This nigga, he's like a naturalist. He just believe in natural law. He's like a agnostic atheist. Like, and I disagree with this nigga all the time, but I learn so much from this nigga. I learned so much from atheists, and I love atheists because I learned so much for them, even though we don't come to the same conclusions.
country, so people learn.
Right.
I generally don't learn from people I agree with. I learn from people I disagree with.
Yeah.
And I think that especially right now with the country so polarized, it's important for people that have different points of view to converse with each other.
Yeah, no, I think that's a healthy perspective. I don't learn that much from people who agree with me, but but it makes me feel big, like I can hurt the little man. So I like having yes men around me. Well, let me ask you, the problem is I'm reading these books, I'm like, yeah, sure, I agree with it. So I know some people will be asking, well, why are you having this? It doesn't sound like it'll be much of a debate. And I think we both agree that freedom of speech, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, is paramount, is very important. And like you said, we're very polarized as a nation. I think maybe where we'll find disagreement, hopefully in offering solutions, is maybe the root cause of it or where we think we should move forward. Does that seem like how it's going to go?
Yes, and I agree with that. And on the second point, Steve, one place where we may disagree, and note I said may because I'm not sure, is my own claim that the Trump administration is now restricting free speech in all kinds of harmful ways. I don't debate, or I should say, I don't doubt your central premise that universities have done a very poor job of both defining and protecting free speech, and they've often been in the place of censoring it. So we agree on that. But we both had moms, and I believe our moms taught us that two wrongs don't make a right. And I believe that the Trump administration has forgotten that and is now engaging in its own forms of censorship.
Yeah, and I know that is a perspective that someone who is obviously leans more left. And again, I never want to miss, but you said you're a classical liberal Democrat. Yeah, I think that'll be a healthy disagreement to have, and we can get into that. My mom did, but she's French Canadian, so she wasn't able to say it. She would just, two wrong in the tree, you're going to go the wrong way. I'd say, okay, Mom, I think I get it. But yeah, so. And I don't want you to tip your hand or anything like that, obviously. Would you mind for the audience maybe listing some examples of where you think, two wrongs, the Trump administration really clamping down on freedom of speech?
Well, I mean, these executive orders about how schools can't teach this thing called critical race theory, this thing called gender theory, whatever those are, because of course the order doesn't define them. I think that's a terrifying prospect. I can see all kinds of reasons to object to critical race theory, but I can't see a reason for an administration, which, by the way, has said that schooling should be a state and local concern, to issue a White House order clamping down on that kind of expression. That just seems completely hypocritical to me.
Okay.
No matter what you think about critical race theory.
Yeah, I think it's silly. But I also understand your perspective. I think that silly ideas should be allowed to be expressed. So I agree with that. I think the context, there'll be a lot of contextual dialogue regarding freedom of speech, where we're discussing the government or we're discussing businesses who maybe perhaps have relationships with the government where those lines get blurred. But I agree. I definitely don't want to see it, though. I think that many people on your campus would think that I'm just like a hair shy of supporting a religious oligarchy. It's not true, but it kind of is.
Well, look, again,
I actually agree with this professor right here. It's like, even if you disagree with critical race theory, even if you disagree with critical race theory, why ban it? I don't know what critical race theory is. I mean, if it's telling lies and it's not backed around facts, then I can understand why clamping down on things like that, like misinformation, right? But it's kind of like if it's just like a class giving descriptors on race itself, then why are you even banning it? Like, I just don't understand that. I don't understand it.
I can't speak for them. I think that, there's also been some misrepresentation about the political atmosphere and sentiments on campuses. I think if you watch certain shows, I'm not going to say which ones, you might imagine that, it's just all these flaming Marxists. And that is not true. It is true that professors lean left, absolutely. But they lean left in like voting for Bernie or Obama. That's different from being a Marxist. By the way, there are Marxists on campus,
yes.
Okay, but they are a minority.
Yeah.
So this idea that we're all these kind of crazy radicals is just false. What we are liberal Democrats, which is different from being a crazy radical.
Well, Okay, and I think I agree with you on some of those premises and disagree on some, which is, again, we need people to actually show up so they can hear. And I'll just, but just listen, if it comes down the line, it's you or me, I will not hesitate. The problem is these always end up being friendly. Like, it was kind of a debate, but you guys actually were productive. Makes, people now look for the clickbait. And that's one thing
Crowder ain't trying to cook this nigga, but I don't know, bro. I think this ain't the real debate. I don't know. I missed that part.
don't do here. We provide all of our references.
Well, look, I mean, yes.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Steve, I think
or this nigga just can't cook him. Like, I mean, he stayed in good position.
Another place, just to show my hand, one other place we may disagree is about Trump himself and his behavior. And let me just show my cards here. I am a deep opponent of President Trump, but not because of his policy positions, because I think most of those policy positions are arguable. And when I say arguable, I mean reasonable people can disagree about them.
Yeah.
I think a border wall is a silly idea, but I don't think everybody who wants a border wall is silly. If you think about something like tariffs, we've been arguing about tariffs since Alexander Hamilton. So my distaste, my loathing for Trump has actually nothing to do with his policy positions. It has to do with the way he flouts the norms of civic dialogue that you were referring to earlier. That's what I object to about Trump. He is the president.
He's basically not even saying that most of his orders just most of his orders isn't bad per se. They're arguable, and you can actually make good arguments against or for them. What he's saying is that this nigga Trump, the way this nigga's talking is just wild. Like, he's just like, bro, this nigga needs to be stopped, bro. This nigga need to be stopped because this nigga's rhetoric is crazy.
Of the country referring to earlier. That's what I object to about Trump. He is the president of the country, and almost every day he does or says something that I believe flouts the norms we need to converse with each other.
Yeah.
That's why I object to him.
I think I think a lot of people hold that position. I think that the norms that we've seen on campus, I mean, you see this from a professor, I think they're at least equally corrosive. Because I don't think that the norm should be people intimidating the
I agree with that. I mean, here's the bottom line. I agree with you, right? He calls people morons, dummies, low IQ, and we call people transphobes and homophobes and misogynists, right? But it's the same in the sense that it's the substitution of name calling for argument. But again, two wrongs don't make a right. Just because we've used silly slurs to clamp down on free speech doesn't mean we should against the president of the United States doing it. And by the way, he is the president, and that matters too. Like, I'm not the president, right?
This
he
nigga,
is.
man.
He's the leader of the nation.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you on that. And I also, I've had.
You gotta understand, man. Us classical liberals, bro. I'm a classical liberal, bro. We speak real shit, bro. We speak real shit, bro. We don't be biased.
My hands full with some of those on the right now, where you're discussing, for example, Iran. I think that there are reasonable positions to be held on both sides of that. To me, we've reached a point when you talk about polarization, like, I don't know if you were watching earlier, I said, hey, when it started, I said, give it 3 months. Because everyone was saying World War III, everyone was saying Iraq. I'm like, Iraq isn't the only comparison. I said, my perspective is there's information I can't know. As it relates to national security, by the way, we would both have to acknowledge that. They can't tip their hand with war. I said, after 3 months, then we can determine if it's a forever war and if it's impeachment worthy. That's all. And I think that there are reasonable people on both sides. But people saying we are at a nuclear holocaust, it is going to be Iraq, that gets the clicks. And so I really do appreciate you accepting. It's it'll be a debate, but I think it'll be productive and respectful. And I wish there were more of you out there.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. And by the way, screw you.
Yes, absolutely. Screw you, and you're a piece of shit. By the way, where can people buy said piece of shit's books? Where can they go buy your books?
I'll say this, guys. I thought Steven Crowder was going to try to cook him even more, but it seems like they agreed more than they actually disagreed. Or that nigga Crowder was low-key ducking. Because this guy right here, I don't know who this is, Dr. Jonathan Zimmerman, this nigga was speaking real shit, bro. You can't knock what he was saying, bro. He was saying that most of Trump's policies tend to be, you can argue for both sides. They're pretty reasonable. But what he disagrees with is him cracking down on free speech. That's in the Constitution, you know what I'm saying? And then his rhetoric, mainly his rhetoric. And that nigga Trump's rhetoric do be wild, bro. You know, like that nigga Jordan Peterson said, conduct yourself properly. That's what we gotta do, man. And those is the type of cultural norms that we need. This nigga is like a real New Yorker, nigga. It's like he's nigga talking wild, you know? But I don't kind of care as long as niggas is competent. Make sure you running the country right, you know? That's my position, though. So, yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, comment, subscribe on this vid, man. You know, tell me what y'all want me to react to next, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Peace out.